Iglesia Ni Cristo's Aid to Humanity continues to help people around the world. From New Zealand, here's Besa.
Members of the Iglesia Ni Cristo Church of Christ in New Zealand have shown once more their love, care, and compassion to their fellow men in need who have been economically affected by the deepening impact of pandemic in this country. Through the Felix Y. Manalo Foundation, the charitable arm of the church, members have put their efforts together to undertake aid to humanity, motivated by their strong faith to help those in need whenever they possibly can.
Through God's guidance and the powerful leadership of the Church of Christ Executive Minister Brother Eduardo V. Manalo, the entire Church of Christ today is conducting a simultaneous aid to humanity activity in more or less 157 countries and territories in the 6 inhabited continents of the world.
As members around the world celebrated the special day of the Church Executive Minister, Brother Eduardo V. Manalo, on 31st of October, they intensified the Church's humanitarian effort by conducting aid to humanity in various locations in more than 155 countries and territories across the globe. In New Zealand, the Aid to Humanity undertaking, led by the District Supervising Minister, Brother Dennis Dahunan, were conducted in 6 main sites encompassing the cities and districts in the North and South Islands, namely Auckland, Invercargill, Christchurch, Wellington, Hutt Valley, and Levant. Though the inter-country was under COVID-19 alert level 1 guidelines, wherein face covering was not required, those members who were present in different sites were encouraged to follow health and hygienic measures, including wearing a face mask, so as to ensure that assistance would reach to the most disadvantaged members of communities. A total of 1,991 goodwill bags containing basic commodities were distributed to the leaders of 42 community and religious organizations. Symbolic checks were handed over to all dignitaries, including government officials, political and community leaders who attended the turnover ceremonies in various locations in the country. They were also informed about the aid to humanity that was simultaneously happening worldwide.
Through God's guidance and the powerful leadership of the Church of Christ Executive Minister Brother Eduardo V. Manalo, the entire Church of Christ today is conducting a simultaneous aid to humanity activity in more or less 157 countries and territories in the 6 inhabited continents of the world.
Government and Philippine embassy officials, along with the beneficiaries, conveyed their messages of admiration to the Church and the Executive Minister, Brother Eduardo V. Manalo, who strives to make the humanitarian presence of the Church of Christ stronger and more responsive to the needs of many communities worldwide, especially in times of pandemic.
And I'm just here really to acknowledge your kindness and the work that you've done. I know it's an important part of the work that you do to demonstrate care for others, and I think this is a fantastic example of how you're doing this. I'd just like to acknowledge, first of all, I know I've had lots of communication with Brother Eduardo V. Manalo and the great work he does, so I'd like to acknowledge his leadership within your church.
I would only express my gratitude and thanks for the Aid to Humanity project that the church has set up. I know that this happens throughout the world, and we are particularly fortunate that you have chosen to be part of.
On behalf of the Philippine Embassy, we'd like to congratulate the Iglesia Ni Cristo for their efforts in launching the Aid to Humanity under the auspices of the Felix Manalo Foundation. And I understand this is not just happening in New Zealand. But the wonderful thing is this is occurring in specific congregations all throughout New Zealand.
A lot of vulnerable people that were actually discovered as a result of COVID lockdowns. We did not realise the vulnerability and poverty that exists in Auckland for a lot of families, especially those who lost the salaries of breadwinners and the struggle they go through. And this is absolutely amazing that the Church of Christ has acknowledged that there is poverty in Auckland.
I'd like to express my sincere gratitude to Brother Eduardo Manalo for the blessing to our community and the support to our community. I'm truly grateful, and on behalf of our community.
As if the words of gratitude were not enough to manifest how thankful they were to the church administration, public officials in Hat City rendered an impromptu song in Miro language, the New Zealand's indigenous dialect, which conveyed love, hope, and peace for all, as it underscored the essence of helping others through the church's aid to humanity. Reporting for Eagle News New Zealand Bureau, this is Besa. We live in interesting times.